Acoustic versus digital is probably one of the biggest questions that you'll come across when it comes to getting yourself an instrument for learning how to play piano. I have a reasonably strong opinion on what one's better, but of course it all depends on situation. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll go through, first of all I'll cover what I think's better actually, for in case you don't want to watch the whole video, and then I'll go into the details, and the chapters will be in the description below if you want to kind of jump about to have a look. So let's have a chat about it. Okay, the first point is, if I'm going to be blatant and just answer the question straight away, I will always say that acoustic is better than digital. There's reasons which kind of break down into probably technique is the biggest factor for me. Now, that answers the big question, but anyway, let's actually start to go into the steps of one versus the other, and then you can kind of make an informed decision for yourself, obviously, because everybody's not the same, and we look for different things, and we might have different space or budgets and stuff like that. So let's have a look at them all. First thing I want to talk about is price, right? So, and just to kind of give it a level playing field, I'm talking about if you're buying an instrument new. So yes, you can go into the second-hand market. You could probably go into Gumtree or Craigslist, depending on where you're from, and you'll find pianos for nothing. Now, one quick word of warning is that 99.9% of the time, if you see a piano for free, then there's a good reason that it's free. Normally because they can be quite clunky, they might be very old, people are trying to get rid of them. You might strike gold occasionally where somebody's maybe had a sad loss in the family, and that person played the piano and nobody else does, and they just want to get rid of it to clear out the house or whatever, but that's few and far between. And also with second-hand keyboards as well, you can get them for buttons. Now, so as I said, let's talk about acoustic versus digital for new instruments. I've got just here off the camera, I've got a reasonably, well, I bought it new, and it's a pretty much a kind of entry level piano, and at the time it cost me about £2,500. It's not the cheapest, newest one, and it's a Kawai as well, so it's a reasonably good brand. If you're looking to buy a new one, then Kawai or Yamaha, probably the best ones for you to look at. But as I said, that was about £2,500. Now, my experience with keyboards, this one here, which I use like almost on a daily basis. This one here was, I think it was about the sort of £2,000 mark as well. The model's now actually obsolete, but it's a Yamaha Clavinova, lovely instrument. Sounds great, and the weight of the keys is nice as well. But if you're looking for something that's on the cheaper side, then you can pick up something like a Yamaha P45, probably for about £500, which has got a fantastic sound on it. You've got weighted keys, and you've got a good dynamic range on them as well. So you're definitely, if you're looking at that entry-level piano at £2,500 versus an entry-level keyboard at about £500, then obviously digital pianos win hands down. Just another kind of caveat as well, you can obviously upscale from there. I mean, pianos go up to a ridiculous amount of money, hundreds of thousands of pounds. Keyboards, you can spend, upwards of £10,000 on digital pianos, depending on what you're wanting to do. But I think price-wise, the digital is always going to win. Second point I'm going to go over is maintenance. Now, buying an acoustic piano is a bit like buying a car. You need to get it serviced. You need to get somebody in to tune it if you're going to use it on a regular basis. I get mine tuned normally about twice a year. I play mine, again, almost daily, and teach on it when COVID isn't restricting us all to being online. Then, I teach on it on a regular basis, so I need it tuned reasonably frequently. The temperature in this room isn't too warm, so it doesn't really affect it too much, and it's not too cold either. So where you keep it will depend on the frequency of how often you need to get it tuned. When my tuner's in, he does a wee bit of maintenance. He'll have a look at the sustain pedal, he'll have a look at if the hammers are a bit hard or whatever. That's that. Now, tuning just now costs me about £60 each, so that's £120 a year for that tuning and maintenance. If something actually went wrong with it, I don't know how much that would cost. It would depend on how many hours the technician was here for. When we kind of look at the digital piano side, then it's slightly different. I've had this for probably about 2 to 3 years now, and I've never had to have anything done to it. You know, it costs me the price that it costs to run something on electricity. And I think I've been quite lucky, but I do look after it. On the flip side of that, when I was talking about cheaper keyboards earlier on, like the P45, I've actually got a P105, a Yamaha P105, it's a lovely instrument. Can't buy them anymore, but you get the P125, too many numbers and letters, forget it. I was gigging with that a lot, and I ended up with a lot of clicky keys on it. You know, there was some sort of mechanism within it that snapped, and I would have to get the keyboard fixed for that, to get rid of that, because it's amazing how annoying a clicky key can be. Now, that's the sort of thing you're up against. You're using digital components which could fail at any time, really, and you've got the mechanism which could crack because it's plastic, and, well, you know, I think that's the trade-off. You know, if you're going to buy cheap, then that's what you're going to have to look out for. But again, it depends on how you look after things. If you're going to share a cup of tea with your keyboard, then obviously it's going to break sooner. But if you take care of it, it'll last you a long time. Okay, before I go into the depths of why I think acoustic is better than digital, then, you know, if you're finding this video useful, please like it and subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any opinions of your own, then please let me know. I'm always interested to hear them. I've got limited experience. Obviously, I don't have like a 25, 50,000 pound piano, and I don't have a 10,000 pound digital piano. So, you know, there may be really good ones out there. Okay, the two things that make the acoustic stand out for me. The first one is the pedal. When you use a pedal on a digital piano, you're pretty much on or off. Some really good ones will have like a half state, if you like. Now, if you don't know what a pedal does, then basically what happens is you've got strings in a piano and you've got dampers on them. When you press a key, the damper comes off that one key, which allows the string to vibrate when the hammer hits it. Now, when you put the pedal down, it takes the dampers off all the strings. On an acoustic piano, what happens is you can put the pedal down a tiny bit and it will take the dampers off a tiny bit, which means the strings can still vibrate, but just not for as long, and then you can do it up much more. And it's an acoustic level, if you like. You know, you push the pedal down tiny wee bits and it makes a difference for the sound coming out of the piano. With the digital, it's more like a switch. You know, you either have it on, or you take the dampers off, and it lasts for ages. And that's it. You've got your on and off state. As I said, more expensive ones might give you a kind of half pedal. Teaching pedal is completely different on the acoustic from what it is on the digital. The acoustic is, you can get much more colour out of an acoustic piano with the pedal work than you can out of the digital. So that's the first thing that makes me say acoustics is, if you can, it's the way to go. Second thing is touch. I recently sat an exam and I wanted to sit the exam on the acoustic. It was a recording, and I've been doing a lot of my practice because of the hours I was practicing. I was doing a lot of it on the digital piano because I had to put the headphones in. And when I went on to the acoustic, I found it incredibly difficult to get the same dynamic range out of the acoustic as I did out of the digital. And I think the reason for this is when you play a digital and you put the key down, as soon as when you hit the key bed, that's when you get your audio. The acoustic piano's one here is different. That, you can hear that audio there. That sound is coming before I hit the key bed. Now the key bed is where the key stops when you push it down. And that makes a huge difference when you're working on your technique and trying to get good nuance out of the music that you're playing. So keyboards, digital pianos, you've got on or off, on or off. Pianos, you've got this point of sound where the hammer leaves the key and goes to hit the string, and that is before you hit the key bed, which gives you much more control over the dynamic range that you can get. To wrap it up, basically, if money and space is no object, and neighbours probably, because acoustic pianos are incredibly loud, or can be incredibly loud, then, you know, go for the acoustic. If you're looking for something that's maybe a bit more mobile, you know, you're looking for, you can put headphones into pianos, some pianos now, but digital keyboards are good for that sort of thing. And if budget is what you're looking for, then obviously the keyboard is the better option. Anyway, that probably ended up a lot longer than I wanted it to be, but it gives you a good in-depth idea about the differences between the two and what my opinion is on whether you should get acoustic or digital. Anyway, thanks very much for your time, and I'll see you in another video.